The kids say, hey, walk in our shoes. And some leaders did, and maybe we're making some progress. Good evening. Welcome to my State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. Thank goodness it is Friday. It is Friday, right? It's Friday. Yes, thumbs up from Steve. We've got some students from the Providence Student Union here tonight who will talk to us about this struggle of having to walk across the city to school. And before those of you out there who say you went to school uphill both ways in 4 feet of snow when men were men and sheep were sheep and all that kind of stuff, you know, before you start going, no, come on, they're too late. It's way too far. All right, we'll get to it when we get to it. In the meantime, let's hustle to the rundown because we got a lot of things we want to cover. I did say it last night. I did. This is like one of the, maybe this is a glass half full thing. Okay, all right, I'll explain. This is getting way too crazy when it comes to the Sakonnet River Bridge. Way too nuts. This is innovation here in Rhode Island, leading the league. This is a goal, and we may be getting closer to it. And this, I didn't know we needed a law. Let's go. Let's in-depth break this stuff down before we meet our two student union guests here tonight. I did say it last night. I mean, I'm not big on replaying myself. But if you watched the rundown last night, you know that I said, you know what? This whole thing in the Ukraine is going to be resolved only if, at the beginning, the President of the United States and Mr. Putin get together. So Mr. Obama and Mr. Putin did on the phone last night. Here's the latest on it from Fox.
A delegation of Crimean lawmakers meeting with Russian parliament members to seek support for the Ukrainian peninsula becoming part of Russia. Moscow's parliament, the Duma, welcoming the group with a standing ovation. A bill speeding up Crimea's accession to Russia could be reviewed by parliament as early as next week. The Speaker of the Assembly says Crimea would be welcomed as an equal subject by Moscow.
If the people of Crimea express their will at the referendum and make a decision to join Russia, we, as the upper house of parliament, will of course support such a decision.
According to Ukraine's border guard, some 30,000 Russian troops are in the region. Moscow denies they are its soldiers, while President Vladimir Putin says Crimeans have a right to vote on the region's allegiance. Ukraine's prime minister calls the planned referendum unconstitutional.
The decision of the European Council clearly states that the so-called authorities of the Crimean Autonomous Republic acted illegally.
Western powers holding Russia accountable for the military intervention, the U.S. imposing sanctions and travel bans on opponents of Ukraine's central government, while the European Union is cutting off talks with Moscow on economic and visa agreements.
We cannot allow Russia or any country to defy international law with impunity.
President Obama speaking with President Putin for an hour on the phone on Thursday. Obama advocating a diplomatic solution to the standoff. In Kiev, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
I don't see how we can have anything other than a diplomatic solution to the standoff. It's complicated. There are people running for the presidency of the Ukraine, a couple of candidates, who are getting after the European Union saying you got to step it up with the United States and be together and forceful against Russia here. But you've got a very, very high Russian population in Crimea, right? So we really don't know where the empathy is. A referendum to switch boundaries, is pretty drastic. What's going to have to happen here is the international community is going to have to create an environment where the president of Russia and the Ukrainian government can have a face-to-face conversation about this and talk about it as long as it takes. Denying that you got your own troops in Crimea is just part of the propaganda that's always come out of the Russian environment. But this is not going to resolve easily, and there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of oil and there's a lot of affluence that the Europeans are really worried about, and security the United States is worried about as well. All right, stay tuned for that one. It's going to be every night we're going to have to touch base on this. Okay, what else is going on here? I just wanted to make a quick note. Did you see this headline? State begins 2014 on up note. So I'm thinking, oh wow, we've got some really good data. Usually I'll put data up on a graphic for you to take a look at. There's no good data. We went from 9.3% unemployment to 9.2%. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at this. I was talking about it on the radio today on WPRO from noon to 3. Trying to get some feedback from people, and people are just kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's half full for the Journal to put a headline up that says, hey, pretty good start to 2014. but a statistical deviation from 9.3 to 9.2% unemployment? Okay, you know what? I'm sick of being sick of being sick of being sick, and so we might as well just put a nice headline on all the data that's really not that good. Let's do it. It's Friday anyway. Let's go on to the next item here. Come on, man. Come on, man. It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. Can we just, here's the headline from a Senate Finance Committee yesterday. They're taking up, the commission on the Sakonnet River Bridge and tolls and everything else came up with this convoluted plan, and now the Senate Finance Committee is looking at this legislation for the Sakonnet River Bridge. You know, this beautiful bridge that cost all that money to build, and there's the stanchion that's now taking 10 cents electronically from you every time. By the way, it's $60,000 a month that they're getting even on a dime. But what a mess. I mean, the Senate Finance Committee is looking at a bill that does the following. You mind if I look at my notes here? Adds a 5% surcharge to all our DMV fees for the entire state. And I understand everyone's sharing in the cost of the bridge, not killing the economy in Aquidneck Island, because I don't want to see tolls on the bridge at all. I don't think it's worthy of tolls. And I don't want to see the economy on Aquidneck Island suffer here. But a gas tax hit, we have a dwindling gas tax because we're using gas less, because we're driving less. Really, that's the data. Bonding. Oh my gosh, we're going to bond? We're going to borrow money to maintain a bridge? Isn't that how we got in trouble in the first place? And then there's this nifty little idea to add to the sales tax, which we've been trying to eliminate. At least I've been trying to help the Rhode Island Center for Prosperity and whatever the heck, you know, Mike Stenhouse's group. I always get that all messed up. The Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity. You know, going to 0% on the sales tax. He's not going to get it, but we need the conversation, the momentum to be headed toward a 0% sales tax. These guys are saying, all right, here's what we'll do. If the computer internet sales tax goes in, like the national law from Congress, we'll take, this is Chafee's idea too, we'll take our sales tax from 7% to 6.5%. If that happens, these guys are saying, these commission guys on the bridge funding and now the Senate bill reflecting it, they say, well, then we'll add 0.125% on to the reduced 6.5% sales tax. Now, it's Friday night. Are you drunk yet? Because when I look at this kind of solution to maintain a doggone bridge, I feel drunk. It's not that hard. It's an $8.5 billion budget. Here's what you do. You say it's a priority to take care of our infrastructure. You allocate the money and you make tough decisions. Why does it always have to be a package of revenue and a pretzel type of discombobulated solution? Stop it! Oh my gosh. This thing's going to end up with a big toll because they can't figure it out. Crazy. All right, on the upside, this was really, really neat. We saw this in the front page of the Providence Journal today. Paging Google Glass, code blue or code red or whatever the codes are in the ER. Look at some of these pictures. This is neat. The doctors over at Rhode Island Hospital have grabbed a couple of Google glasses. One of the doctors, we're going to have to get these guys on the show here because this is fascinating. One of the doctors was all excited about the Google Glass technology and then went to Google to ask them for advanced pairs. And so for a couple, $3,000 a piece, they're using this to test skin patients who come into the ER with rashes and stuff to be able to hook in via the glass. These are glasses, you know that, but the Google Glass. And when they look through the Google Glass, they can talk to specialists who hook in through the internet and actually see and talk to the patient that they're dealing with. It's pretty cool. Here's the moral of the story. I don't know how this stuff works at all, but I know this. Here in Rhode Island, we're not second class when it comes to the medical world. Rhode Island Hospital, Hasbro, and the like, they are leaders, and this is the first ER to use this kind of technology or to test it. And give them a round of applause for that. Alrighty. Okay, let me get on this pothole thing real quick. Carl Wadenston was here last night. He heads up Vibeco. He's got a company that makes vibrating machines. And he told me yesterday the reasons why, A, we think we can be pothole free here in Rhode Island, and his motivation for donating equipment.
Number one, you know that I've always thought of our state, and people say you have to nurture your state. Well, we make a piece of equipment that will change every citizen's life here. And if I can give it to our state and have raving fans with our DOT municipality workers, don't you think that resonates to the bigger markets? That we can sell more machines and we're taking care of our own state? Why do you really need to monopolize and make money on your own state?
All right, so he's got these machines, right, about $1,500 a pop. Cumberland, North Providence, Richmond and Lincoln have already weighed in saying they want one. I think the League of Cities and Towns ought to coordinate a meeting with the 39 cities and towns. So that'd be pretty expensive for this company to give. And I just double check with Carl on the radio today. You really ready to do this for everybody?
Are you actually capable of donating a machine to every community in the state?
We're going to sit that stake in the ground, and these people, I know the citizens of Rhode Island, I know that if these guys use it at the DPW's DOT, that, you know, it will make it a better place. We're ready to do it, Dan.
All right, well, let's go. All together now. Rhode Island, pothole free. Spread the word, tell your municipal leaders to get a hold of vibeco.com, and get one of these suckers. All right. Oh, well, we got pictures. I'm sorry. They were down at the bridge today, you know, rolling. That's what they look like. They're about 100 pounds each, and they make the pothole fix longer by 4 times than the throw and go of the cold patch that they use. All right, and finally, real quick, this is some. I just couldn't believe this when this came down today. I didn't understand that there's actually not a good enough law to thwart the voyeurs. Do we have a headline on this one? No, we don't. We just have the video. Yeah, this came out today. Governor Patrick signed legislation that was quickly passed by the House and Senate on Beacon Hill to say, you know what, you can't be looking under girls' skirts and taking the pictures. It's a misdemeanor, and if you send the picture somewhere, it's a felony. I didn't know we needed a law for that, but I guess we do in this day and age. People are sick. The technology makes people sick, or were people sick and they're just sicker because of the technology? What? Ladies, be careful of those idiots out there who are going, I mean, what do? You go like this? Stop it. The kids walking too far when we come back. Stay with us. Yeah, you know, when this story came up, I said, really? Really? Is this how we treat the kids in the city of Providence? Really? Roll this package, please.
A classical high school sophomore showed politicians, including Representative John Lombardi, what it's like to follow in her footsteps Monday when she walked to school.
Several obstructions on the sidewalk, including but not limited to garbage, ice, snow, uprooted trees.
The student, Natalia Rossi, is one of about 2,800 Providence High School students who are not eligible for a free RIPTA pass unless they live more than 3 miles from their school.
Some places there was no sidewalk, they had to walk on the streets.
So Lombardi is introducing a bill to reduce the number of miles students have to walk to be eligible for a pass from 3 miles to 2.
If we make it part of the budget, the transportation budget for the various school departments, the 39 cities and towns, let them figure out how to manage this.
But the chief operating officer for Providence Public Schools says RIPTA doesn't have the buses and the school district doesn't have the money. The official says bus passes for students who live more than 2 miles from school will cost the city an additional $1 million a year. Lombardi says the money is there if they look for it.
They'll find it within the budget. There's certainly, I'm sure they can recognize and pick out some fat that they can use, to accommodate 1,300 children. When it comes to our children, our most precious commodity, we will find the money.
All right, Todd Wallace's work there. Well, John Lombardi's probably running for mayor, so he's saying all the right things, but I couldn't agree with him more. These are they've got their T-shirts. I mean, their sweatshirts. This is a formal organization now. The Providence Student Union. Rosalyn is to this side, and Diane is to this side. Ladies, welcome to the broadcast.
It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. You walked in this publicity event as well, correct?
Yes.
Don't worry about the camera. Just look at me. Just don't even worry about it. You look great. Don't worry about it. You look great. No, seriously. What this was really bubbling up with the kids, big time, right?
Yeah, it really was. It was a real eye-opener to me because this has been going on since I've been in Providence. So it's like I've never really noticed it until now.
Why? Were you? How long do you? Where do you
I've
go to school?
lived in Providence since 2009.
Okay.
So I started high school in like 2011.
Okay.
So it was no problem because it was just me.
Right.
It became a problem once my sister came along when she started high
How
school.
far are you walking to school?
I'm not walking to school. My mom pays for the RIP ticks.
She does. Okay, and that's the thing. You got to understand. It's about a subsidy and distance. under the 3 miles, there's a subsidy. Well, up to the 3 miles, there's no subsidy. Over 3 miles, there's a subsidy, right? How far are you walking to school?
2.2.
Really? Every day?
No, actually, I get 210 roadies, which is enough for 2 weeks of a month. The rest of it, I need to hustle or just find
You need to hustle.
Find a way to get to school or go walking.
Yeah. Well, have you walked during the winter?
Yes, I have.
And so what time you got to be in? What high school are you going to?
Central.
How long does it take you?
It takes me an hour exactly.
An hour?
Yes.
So what time are you getting up in the morning?
I actually go late because I need to wait for my sister. Because I take her to her bus stop and wait for her bus comes.
So it hurts. You're not making homeroom or whatever they call it these days, right?
Homeroom.
And you're late. You're late for class, and it's affecting 1,300 students to have this kind of jam.
It's also affecting the way you work in school. It's like you're tired, you're grumpy, you just don't feel like doing anything.
Why? What's the problem? It's only a bunch of potholes. Snow this high, ice all over Kingdom Come, dark at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Falling
What's the problem?
in the ice. It's like if you hurt, and like there was a student who hurt her ankle just going to school. It's like not pretty at all.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about why these young people organize, what the message is that they feel like they're receiving, and the solutions on this and a couple other items too. Stay with us. So Rosalyn and Diana are here to talk about this, thing they did to make everybody pay a little attention about, walking in their shoes. I cannot believe that the city of Providence is in a situation where they make up to 3 miles the kids walk. So the proposal is to knock it down to 2. So you'd be good.
Yes.
So you'd be fully funded at 2.25 miles, right?
Yes.
And you would be...
I live 1.9 miles.
So you're under anyway. So you're just advocating.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone needs a representative. The Providence Student Union is getting involved in a whole bunch of things, kneecap discussions and all that kind of stuff. That's not your bag. You passed a kneecap.
Yeah.
She's going to be a forensic psychologist. You're a math student. You're going to be an architect or something like that. So you know what? These kids have got it going on. But who would want to go to class? Let me tell you something. I can't get out of bed. Couldn't get out of bed when I went to high school. I used to have to hitch 16 miles away. That's a whole nother story. But I know what it's like to walk in late chronically. Teachers get on you. Relationships get tough, right? Yeah. Studies are not easy.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the message that kids who live in Providence feel when they're told there's no money to provide you the kind of stuff that the suburban and rural kids get?
It's
like that.
The same old conversation, because we're like, there's a lot of things we would like to do in Providence in our schools, but because we don't have funding, like the arts and stuff, they're treated second, and so it's like, it's the same old thing. It's not new to Providence.
Feels like a beat down all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, what's it like?
Well, we have all these. Well, PSU is for the students to have a fair say, and things we feel like are ruining our education or affecting our education. And there's always this problem, we don't have enough money, Even though they do, they're just putting it in the wrong things,
Now, does it make you study government and politics a little bit more?
Yeah.
So when you say they've got the money, well, what's your solution where the $1 million ought to come from to make this subsidy and the overall transportation system fair or equitable with the other towns? Do you have any idea?
Well, we had a meeting last Wednesday, and we met all the people that could help us change it. They just had all these obstacles and all these different solutions and all this stuff. It's like it's a really complicated problem. We say it is. And that's why we had this meeting and we had the walk in our shoes, so that all these people who could be involved could get involved, and to see just how complicated and how we need everybody to just join in together and to just think about it and find a solution so that Providence kids don't have to be walking so far.
So far so good. The Providence City Council passed a resolution last night, as a matter of fact. To get this done, it's non-binding. Now they got to go find the resources, the money. But the idea that you came up with a plan to have the public officials actually walk with you the 3 mile. How many showed up? A lot, right? The reporters showed up.
20, I think.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Like 40 people were there.
if you can't feel the problem, you can't solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
Were you laughing as they were walking with you? Like, are you kidding me?
It was funny to see their faces. They're shocked. Like, this is what a student has to go through just to get to school?
Right. You know, a rural 2.5-mile walk is easier than a city
Yes.
over the, you know, the...
Most of them were walking in the streets
Which is
because they
dangerous.
couldn't walk on the sidewalks. It was just iced up.
Well, I think you haven't won the day yet, but I think you're winning the day with that brilliant idea. So kudos to you. And while we're short on time now, will you come back as this whole thing works out, and we'll have a longer conversation, maybe with some of those public officials, and try to get the deal done for you.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Congratulations. Yeah. Man, she's got a look. She might be a forensic psychologist. She's also probably the next governor in 2030. And you, lieutenant governor. How's that?
Yeah.
You guys do a great job. Keep
Thank
it up.
you.
It's not solved yet. It will be. When we come back, your state of mind. Stay with us. I love it when we have young people on this program, and they did a smart thing by making the pals walk with them, don't you think? Your state of mind, react to what you just saw, or anything that's said on this program, 228-1886, or whatever happens to be on your mind. Maybe you got a show idea. stateofmind@iritv.com is the email, and you can post, Facebook, tweet, whatever. You know the whole social media thing. Here's a voicemail left for us.
Swimming is a great sport. It's great physical. It's great mental. It's great just for what I call just for competitive reasons. And every kid in the city, and this is Providence, or any other city in the state, should learn how to swim just because of the factors of the enjoyment, the health benefits, and everything else.
Another example, you've seen the Davy Loeb's pool and the kind of the disastrous shape it happens to be in. It's another example of how public officials have left the kids behind, walking in their shoes or swimming in the lousy pool. We're going to fix it all. All right, we got to go. We're out of time. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, 7:30 on My State of Mind.